The first reported details of a draft Iran-US memorandum suggest a sweeping commitment from Tehran, marking a major potential shift in the standoff over its nuclear ambitions. According to these reports, the draft framework says Iran has agreed that it will neither build nuclear warheads nor seek them from any foreign source. Even if Iran's leadership, led by Mojtaba Khamenei's camp, signs up to a no-nukes formula, critics argue that Donald Trump may still be giving away significant leverage. Tehran has reportedly refused to ship its enriched uranium abroad, insisting instead that its stockpile will only be diluted or downgraded inside Iran. Washington appears ready to accept this uranium arrangement in principle, with the two sides set to negotiate the exact mechanism for dilution, verification, and oversight in follow-up technical discussions, according to media reports. The draft deal reportedly includes a significant economic sweetener. The United States would waive key oil sanctions on Iran for a specified period, giving Tehran temporary breathing space to re-enter global energy markets. Those sanctions waivers are expected to allow Iran to increase its oil exports and directly receive the revenues, offering much-needed cash for its economy and easing years of pressure. In addition, the United States would reportedly unfreeze around $25 billion in Iranian assets held overseas. The draft also envisions an immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to all commercial ships, aiming to calm global markets. Linked to that, Washington would lift its naval blockade or restrictive posture on Iranian ports, allowing maritime traffic in and out of Iran's harbors. Notably, President Donald Trump publicly claimed the deal would be signed on June 14, but Iranian officials quickly refuted that timeline. Adding to the confusion, Trump's own public schedule for June 14 does not list any formal signing ceremony, raising questions about whether the White House announcement was more about political messaging. Meanwhile, a delegation from US-aligned Qatar has arrived in Tehran, seeking to further facilitate the talks and help both sides bridge the remaining gaps. For now, Iranian state-linked media say Tehran has not yet announced a final decision before committing to any signature. Iran has rejected Donald Trump's deal show as Tehran pushes back against claims that an agreement is ready for immediate signing. Iran publicly rejected Trump's claim that a deal with Tehran would be signed on June 14, saying negotiations have not yet reached that stage. Iranian officials said the proposed memorandum of understanding has neither been finalized nor formally approved by the relevant authorities. Fars reported that Tehran viewed the push for a signing on that specific date as a political stunt driven by Trump's domestic agenda. Iranian negotiators said the timing appeared carefully chosen to coincide with celebrations surrounding Trump's 80th birthday. Iran also linked the proposed signing date to Trump's high-profile UFC event planned at the White House the same weekend. Officials said they would not allow sensitive diplomatic negotiations to be transformed into what they described as a media or ceremonial maneuver. Meanwhile, CNN reported that mediators spent June 13 rushing to secure a virtual signing format in an effort to keep negotiations on schedule. Some mediators feared that further delays could create opportunities for new regional crises to derail the diplomatic process. There were also concerns that either side could still walk away if negotiations become prolonged or politically complicated.
These negotiations, which will lead to the end of the war, are envisioned in two stages. The first stage is a memorandum of understanding to be signed between Iran and the United States. Then, negotiations for the second stage will begin, and subsequently, in the second stage, we will have a final agreement. We postponed the nuclear issue to the final agreement for various reasons, as it was truly impossible to discuss it under current circumstances. The demands they had were in no way acceptable. Therefore, we brought up other issues that could be agreed upon in the first stage and postponed the nuclear issue to the second stage, which is, of course, a more difficult phase for which 60 days of negotiation have been envisioned. In the second stage, or the final agreement, the nuclear issue, alongside the issue of lifting sanctions on Iran and one or two other matters that I will mention at another time, will be reviewed and a final agreement will be reached. In the current agreement, which is called a Memorandum of Understanding and is known as the Islamabad Memorandum, or has been named the Islamabad Memorandum, The end of the war is declared on all fronts, including Lebanon. I have said this many times. We have never forgotten Lebanon in this war, because Lebanon and Hezbollah of Lebanon have, in any case, fought alongside the people of Iran in this war, and we will never leave them alone. In the ceasefire that was announced, the ceasefire was on all fronts, including Lebanon. Now, putting aside the fact that the Zionist regime violated it multiple times, to which Hezbollah responded, we responded wherever necessary, and in my opinion, this response itself was another strategic achievement. For the first time, we were the ones who initiated the offensive to punish a regime that had, in any case, reneged on its commitments, and this was recorded on the global stage as a strategic victory for Iran, showing that Iran is not joking and that if necessary, it is not only not afraid of war but will employ it wherever required. There is the issue of lifting the naval blockade, the discussion of what topics the next round of negotiations will include, the Iranian nuclear issue, the issue of lifting sanctions, and the topic of reconstruction, which has been proposed here in the form of a reconstruction and economic development plan, the mechanisms of which will be agreed upon during the subsequent negotiations, along with other issues that will arise. The discussion of Iran's blocked funds, for which a mechanism has been defined, are matters included in the memorandum of understanding and agreed upon in the first stage. I must state explicitly that this agreement has enemies, at the head of which is the Zionist regime, and they are looking for pretext to derail this agreement. Our position is clear. If we were going to yield to force and pressure, we would have yielded long ago. If threats of attacking infrastructure or other threats were going to make us back down, we would have backed down long ago. But that is not the case. Very clear messages were sent to the other side that threats have a reverse effect. If you want to move toward an understanding, the rhetoric must change. If you want to move toward threats, pressure, and war, we are ready. This is the serious decision of the Islamic Republic of Iran, that the future of the Strait of Hormuz, the future of the management of the Strait of Hormuz, will no longer be as it was in the past. When I say the future of management, it is because our sovereignty has always existed, exists now, and will always exist. No one can challenge Iran's sovereignty over this strait, of course, with Oman. But whether the management of this strait, the management of the traffic in this strait, will be as it was in the past, it will certainly not be as it was in the past.